As a CPSS, you may encounter ethical situations in your work. Remember, the role of the peer support specialist is developing, and some of your colleagues may not be familiar with your responsibilities or your role. They may not understand how you work with peers or know your code of ethics. Let's look at some common situations a CPSS may encounter. Scenario 1. Janet is a deaf peer support specialist. She works at a mental health center. All of her coworkers are hearing. She often goes to appointments with deaf peers to provide support and advocacy. The in-house psychiatrist does not know sign and often dismisses Janet's input during appointments. She feels the psychiatrist is not listening to her. And as a coworker, she is being ignored, not valued. Scenario 2. Anthony is a late deafened CPSS. He works for an agency that's beginning to serve more and more deaf peers. Over the past 2 months, he's developed a strong therapeutic relationship with a peer. That peer is deeply grateful for the support and the encouragement that Anthony has given to him. He feels Anthony has really helped him with his recovery. One day, the peer brings Anthony a beautiful art piece he has made. The agency has a policy that staff can only accept gifts worth up to $10 and no more. And Anthony is aware that the artwork is worth much more than the $10 limit. He also knows the peer, who is a Native American Indian, has a culture that values gifts, and not accepting the gift would be viewed as a rejection by the peer. Anthony feels stuck. Scenario 3. Jack is a deaf peer support specialist who works at a group home. He has a good relationship with a deaf-blind peer named Norman who lives at that home. Norman has recently stopped taking his medication, is becoming agitated and difficult to work with. Some of the other deaf peers are concerned about Norman's mental health. The director of the group home asks you to use your influence with Norman to force him to start taking his medication again. And if Norman does not, the director is going to call the police and have him taken to the hospital for evaluation. Situation 4. Cindy is a hard of hearing peer specialist. She is assigned to work with Freda. Freda is in a relationship with a man who is probably physically abusing her and is very controlling. Freda does not want to end the relationship, and she does not want to work with a deaf domestic violence program. Cindy has a past relationship where she was the victim of domestic violence. Cindy ended her relationship, but it was not without a long struggle. Discussing Freda's situation brings up a lot of emotions and bad memories for Cindy, and she's not sure she can continue to work effectively with Freda. Scenario 5. Sarah is a culturally deaf peer support specialist. She attends the same church as Roger, a hearing counselor at the agency where Sarah works. Sarah saw Roger discussing a situation at the mental health center that involves a deaf peer who also attends the same church. Even though Roger does not use the peer's name, Sarah feels he's giving enough information that people would know who he is talking about. Scenario 6. Preston is a hard of hearing peer support specialist. Because he has had a difficult time with his own medicine, he has read a lot about medications and side effects. He feels he is an expert. on medication. You are his coworker. You have heard that he's advising his hard of hearing clients about medications. You talk to Preston about this, and he says he's not advising anyone about anything, that he's merely listening to their concerns and explaining the pros and cons of various medication and suggesting what he would do if he were in their place. He always reminds them that the final decision is theirs. Scenario 7. Marcia, a deaf individual, has been receiving services with the deaf program at the local mental health service for the past 3 years. She's doing very well in her recovery and has developed a strong support network with her peers who come to the center. The director of the center offers Marcia a job, but tells her she can no longer socialize with her deaf peers, who are now her friends, after work. Marcia really wants the job, but she's not sure she wants to give up these peer friendships.